everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Is it better to buy all of your silver and gold in one great big purchase, or front loading as I call it, rather than spreading it out over time with smaller purchases perhaps every week, month or quarter? That is the topic for this week's discussion video. We're going to be examining some of the advantages and disadvantages of what I call front loading, so taking that big lump sum or taking your stacking budget and putting it all in one great big purchase or spreading it out over time. It's a really interesting topic, and one I know a lot of new stackers ask, and I've seen a lot of questions on places like the Silver Forum. You know, I've inherited some money and I want to put some into silver and gold. What should I spend my £10,000 on or $10,000 on? It's a really interesting one, and one I think that a lot of people will get a lot of value out of. So please feel free to comment as we go throughout today's video. Even if you're a seasoned stacker, let us know your thoughts on this very interesting subject. Before we crack on, I just want to put my usual disclaimer in here to say this is not a financial advice video. I'm just a guy who likes to talk about shiny things here on YouTube. So it's a collection of my thoughts, ramblings, and musings on the subject, not financial advice. So front loading. Let's just start there. Let's define front loading. So front loading for me would be you've got a lump sum of money, perhaps you've got a bonus from work, or you've inherited some cash, or if you're a new stacker and you've got some savings in fiat currency in your bank account and you've just discovered this world of lovely shiny silver and you're thinking to yourself, yes, I want to get me some of that. I want to diversify my portfolio and put some of my cash into silver. Is it better to front load by doing a giant great big purchase, buying a monster box all in one go, buying a kilo bar of silver, or buying a 500 ounce, I don't know, 1,000 ounce bar or something, just a huge piece of silver, rather than splitting it up and buying smaller batches across the years? Unfortunately, this capsule, as you can see here, has taken a bit of a beating. We'll have to replace that because the Griffin, of course, is doing really well. Anyway, we'll talk about that Griffin in a little bit. The question is, it's going to depend on each and every individual's circumstances and situations as to what is the best course of action for them. Now, for us here in the Backyard Bullion household, I will share some of our thoughts and strategies on this. Of course, when you get into stacking in the first place, you'll quickly realise that buying this silver shiny stuff is really quite fun and addictive, and that can be quite dangerous in a way because you can get overstretched quite easily if you pick up all of these silver coins and you fall in love with them, or even worse, if you pick up some gold and you fall even more in love with gold and you want to get even more of it. It can be quite quickly something that gets out of control. So budgeting is, of course, incredibly important. Now, if you have that lump sum, let's say you've inherited some cash, or you've got a lump sum of cash that's sitting around there and you wanted to get in silver or gold, what's the biggest advantage of front loading? Well, the biggest advantage is avoiding stuff like this, fractional gold and silver, which has a higher premium. That is probably the first and biggest advantage that you will get from having a large lump sum investment. Now, it basically works for all kinds of budgets. You know, if you're a very large budget kind of stacker, you're probably going to lean a little bit more towards gold than you would silver. Perhaps having a bit of both is fine, but in the long term, if you've got, say, a $10,000 a year budget, buying $10,000 of silver every year for 30 years is going to be an awful lot of weight and bulk, and silver is just not going to be practical. So gold is definitely going to be where it's at. And buying big gold is a lot cheaper than buying small gold. So large denomination coins, large weighted coins like this Mexican 50 pesos is going to be a damn sight better value for money than buying fractional gold like these Harajas little gold bars. So that's definitely something to factor in. Size always comes at a discount, and it will be evident that that's, I think, something that's on a lot of people's minds, because you do see that a lot. People will come up and they'll say, oh, I really want to get into gold, but I can't afford gold, so I'll buy some fractional gold because it's only a 1 gram gold bar and I can afford that. But actually you're ending up paying a significant premium over spot price, whereas if you save that money up and had it all in one great big purchase at the end of the year, perhaps you would be able to get a much cheaper unit price in terms of premium over spot. So that's definitely something to factor in. However, it's not the only thing to factor in about that. So if you are going to go down that route, then there's one thing to consider, and that's the fluctuations in the market prices. Now, of course, nobody can predict the future, and it's a bit of a lottery. So if you are going to front load and buy that big gold coin in one fell swoop, you might fall victim to some of the price swings that come out. You might fall also, good to it. It could go up in price. If you bought this time last year your gold, you will have seen a very nice increase in its value over the course of 2019. But of course, if you're buying a bunch of fractionals, even at a lower price with the premiums, you'll have to have an even higher increase in gold price to potentially yield some of that profit. So that's definitely something to factor in when buying in bulk. And I know a lot of people don't like that idea of potentially losing out. They want to ride the prices down and even up when they're going. And of course, prices are definitely something to factor in when purchasing your silver and gold. Now, in terms of silver and purchasing in bulk, there are, of course, advantages for that. For us here in the United Kingdom, one of the advantages of buying larger stocks of silver, so, basically a monster box, say, or a large, it doesn't have to be a monster box, even buying a tube of Britannias would be potentially more advantageous than buying individual Britannias once every couple of weeks, simply because of things like shipping. So a lot of the time people don't necessarily think about that, or even they absent-mindedly record it, but they don't necessarily actively think about it and record it. But shipping is something that really makes a difference. And if you're buying 25 individual coins and you're paying £1 each time for postage, that adds up over time, and it adds, of course, £1 an ounce to your value of the silver. And a lot of people maybe just ignore that cost, or they don't record it properly, or they put it to the back of the mind and they don't think about it. Of course, if you buy all in one go, a lot of the dealers out there in the UK certainly will offer free shipping on orders over a certain size. And even if you're buying from Europe and saving on the VAT side of things, for us here in the UK, you'll be saving on the price per ounce per shipping, because you'll be, of course, having, discounted for, if it costs 30 euros for one package, then one coin will be costing 30 euros in shipping, whereas 25 coins cost significantly less, of course. If you buy a monster box, it's even less, even more so. So there's definitely things to factor in on that side of things. Now, one of the biggest disadvantages that I have noticed about front-loading your investments into gold and silver is you won't be able to take advantage of some of the really exciting sets and designs that come out throughout different years. Of course, the Queen's Beast is the premier set at the moment, in my eyes, that is coming out. And if you are just jumping in one great big fell swoop and buying all of the silver that you can buy in 1 year, you're not going to get a diverse stack. So definitely having something, to go through for the rest of the 10, 20 years that you're collecting, something to enjoy and to engage with your stack. If that's something that's important to you, then definitely something to factor in there. Now, for me personally, there is a bit of a happy medium for both of these situations. So one of the reasons why we stack silver and gold in our lives, in our portfolio, I suppose, for the future, is all about wealth preservation. Now, for us, that means that we want to basically keep this gold and silver for a significant period of time, such that it will help us in our retirement years, or at least in our late 50s, early 60s, when perhaps we might want to think about taking a step back from full-time busy life working and maybe just do some part-time work, or just generally slow down a little bit. We don't want to work until we're 70. Nobody really does. If it has to happen, though, it has to happen. But ultimately, if we can get away with slowing down into our retirement, that is the most important thing for us. And to do that, what we want to do is have essentially a bit of a drawdown income, I suppose. So we have all of this gold and silver that we will be having for a long term. And then the idea is that we will, on a monthly basis or on a couple of every month, maybe 3 months, we would liquidate some of that gold and silver, have that extra cash come in to help pay the bills, meet the bills that we need to pay. And it's that drawdown pension. And that is preserving the buying power of the wealth that we have right now. And if you front load all of that investment into one great big purchase, if you put all of your eggs in one basket and lock it all up now, and there's a big, there's an economic boom, let's say, and the pound really draws in value, or gold price goes ridiculously down in prices, who knows what might happen into the future. You're committed. That's the difference here. You're committed at a certain price point, and that is not, oh, that was upside down, sorry, I've only just realized. And you are then not going to have the flexibility of being able to change up some of your investments, because you've front loaded it all in one go. You've committed, you've put yourself all in, so to speak. And that's definitely something to factor in for us in the Backyard Bullion household. We want to have a bit more flexibility. So what we've done, let's bring it back to what we like to do and think about for our strategies going forwards. By the way, this is possibly one of the most incredible kilo bars of silver that I have ever poured. I am just over the moon with it. It's fresh back from hallmarking, as you can see, the laser etched, and I always write on the side that they need to do it. Anyway, sorry, I get distracted by shiny things. So what we do, what we have done, and what we will continue to do. So in the Backyard Bullion household, we have a budget every week. Well, I say every week, it's every week, month, quarter, and annually. So we have obviously goals that we want to meet for the long term, for our gold stack and silver stacks for that pension age. To meet those requirements, we want to try and front load a little bit, but we don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. Now, the idea there of us having a bit of a drawdown pension pot, so to speak, in silver and gold would be to have the ability to sell some of it and, you know, have that money coming in. So we want to try and lock up as much of our cash now as possible, but without overcommitting. So we will be increasing the amount, well, we have been increasing the amount of gold and silver that we buy in the earlier stages of our buying, and then we slow it down over time. And I find that works really well for a number of reasons. First, we can purchase some of the really exciting things that we want to purchase over time, like the Queen's Beast series in 1 ounce. We can also splurge out with our budgets on other things like the 50 pesos gold coins, which are just the most stunning pieces of gold I think out there. Really just so elegant and lovely. So we can buy some of the things that we want to see and enjoy and have. I don't like these capsules there, they're not very easy to get out of. And we can just, you know, enjoy those purchases as we go. But we are also buying, you know, larger volumes, so we will have that protection when it comes to it at the other end without having too much commitment from one particular year. So as gold fluctuates over time, you know, we'll buy a little bit here, a little bit there, and that's basically the tactic going forwards. We try and steer away from the fractional stuff unless we can get it for a really good price, and I would rather, you know, I'd rather hold fire and just wait for a couple of weeks until something good comes up, rather than just say, right, it's the 25th of each month, that's the day I'm going to buy some gold, so let's go ahead and see what's out there. You know, if there's nothing that I fancy that particular month, I roll the budget over into next month. So flexibility, I think, is the key. And if you are front loading significantly all in one go, you are running the risk of not being as flexible in your outlook and approach to gold and silver. Now, the last thing that I will talk about is that there is a happy medium, of course, and it's going to depend on every person's individual situation and circumstances. And one of the things that people always say, especially for us UK stackers, is all about sovereigns, and sovereigns being one of the best and most liquid pieces of gold that you can buy. And I would reiterate that point that I've heard and seen so many times before on the Silver Forum, on various other sources. It's just the most, you know, it's one of the world's most recognized gold coins. We've got 2 different varieties in this particular showcase here. By the way, for those of you who have been watching this long, I apologize for the camera's focus today. It's not been very good with the light that we've got here. Also, you'll notice I've got some big blisters on my fingers. I picked up a not quite red hot, but very, very hot crucible by accident the other day, and I've got some lovely blisters to showcase for it, which I'm sure will look lovely in times to come. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Sovereigns, they are probably the best option for fractional gold buying over time. Buy a sovereign every month, every week, or every year, or whatever is in your budget is one of the best things that you can do. It's low premium, maybe not the shield bags. This one was is obviously being dipped. It's very, very shiny, and it's got some interesting kind of I don't know what, basically marks on the other side there. So this one was a bit of a, you know, a not so expensive shield back. And then you got your regular sovereigns. They will always be cheap, and they will always have good value, I think, as a fractional piece of gold, and they're a little bit more affordable than buying big old 50 pesos gold coins. So that's my thoughts on the subject of front loading. Let's do a little bit of a conclusion and summary. So is front loading better than spreading it out? In certain circumstances, I would argue yes. Depends on your situation. If you want to, like us, have, you know, a large pot of gold and silver to draw down on in future, and you've got the cash right now to lock up and you're happy to lock it up, that's something to factor in. If your flexibility is such that you can lock up your wealth right now, great. Always consider, though, and this is my last point of the video, always consider your exit strategies. If things change, if situations change, you know, if budgets change, always, always, always have an exit plan so that you can get your cash out. Gold, in my opinion, is better to do that than silver just because of its liquidity. And that's my last point on the subject. So if you've enjoyed today's video and you'd like to share your thoughts and opinions on it, then please do feel free to comment down below with your thoughts and strategies on front loading, buying all of your silver and gold in one fell swoop. Otherwise, if you enjoyed today's video, please put a thumbs up on it and share it around on your social media. That would be very helpful for everything that we do here on our channel. I know it's a little bit YouTube cringy, but really a like and a thumbs up and a comment really does help everything that we do here on the channel. If you want to see videos from us in the future, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, and if you want to get notifications, hit the alarm bell. Otherwise, that's it from me today. Thank you one and all for watching. I hope you have a fantastic week. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.